thought I'd share a little bit about what the actual teaching English in Vietnam is like, because I know when I was going to teach English abroad, I didn't really have an idea of what it was going to be like, and it turned out to be quite different to what I thought it might be like. So the difference came down to what teaching English as a foreign language, TEFL, is compared to traditional teaching. So TEFL can be referred to as a few different acronyms. TEFL for one, TESL, teaching English to speakers of other languages. Teaching ESL, it's sometimes referred to, or sometimes people just say teaching English abroad or teaching English in so-and-so country. There are some slight differences, but for the most part it comes down to the same thing. You're teaching someone to use the language. So in the TEFL classroom, there's a lot of engagement because you're really trying to get your students to use the language as much as possible. So in that sense, it's very different to traditional teaching where someone is standing up in front of a class and delivering information. In fact, that's one of the most common problems with new teachers is they have high teacher talk time, which means they're just giving lots of information. They're just talking and talking, and that's really not what it's about. So I guess in my head, what I was thinking was something more like a lecture from a professor, or even back in school when I was learning a subject and it was mostly the teacher doing the teaching versus what it's actually like, which is a very interactive and often fun classroom. This means lots of games and learning activities, getting the students to work with each other in pairs and groups, designing activities to get the students speaking and giving them a chance to practice and speak the language. And yes, you are getting them to learn new things as well. There's grammar structures that they have to learn. You're teaching the 4 skills: reading, writing, listening, speaking, but there's a big emphasis on getting them to use that language in practice, especially with speaking, listening, and writing and reading as well. So as you can see from these clips, there's examples of fun activities in the classroom, really having a good time with the students as well. While there are learning outcomes, you do want the children to also enjoy the process, especially if you're teaching young learners, which is the biggest market in Vietnam by far. So I think that's what I didn't really get in the beginning, and why it's also important to learn these skills, which are very practical. So you do want to do a good quality TEFL course, which ideally has practical teaching experience, in-person teaching practicum, learning in the classroom, so that you can actually put what you're learning into practice before you go and get a job, because that will show employers that you have those skills that are necessary to run a good class. So that's essentially what you should be learning in a TEFL course, and that's the teaching certification that you take in order to go out and apply for jobs and get a job.